Grace Harrington was dying. She knew it before the doctors did. She felt her life draining onto the white sheets beneath her. The delivery room spun, voices blurred into static, but she held on. Her husband James stood beside her. His face was grey. In his arms he cradled their newborn daughter, perfect, pink, silent. "James," Grace's voice came out broken, a whisper through cracked lips. He leaned closer. Tears streamed down his face. "Protect her." Grace grabbed his wrist. Her grip was weak but desperate. "Something's wrong with Richard." James shook his head. "Grace, don't talk, save your strength. Listen to me." Her eyes burned with urgency. "Your brother, something's wrong, promise me you'll—" The monitors screamed. Nurses rushed forward. Someone pulled James back. He watched helplessly as they fought to save his wife. They failed. Grace Harrington died at 3:47 a.m. She was 31 years old. She never finished her warning. James didn't process her words that night. How could he? He was watching the love of his life slip away. Her final sentence dissolved into grief. He forgot about Richard. He wouldn't remember for 6 years. 4 hours after Grace died, a technician ran a routine hearing test on the baby. Lily failed. The technician ran it again. Same result. A specialist was called, then another. They examined the newborn with growing confusion. "Her ears are structurally perfect," the audiologist said. "Her auditory nerves are intact. There's no explanation." James barely heard them. He was still staring at the empty bed where his wife had been. "Mr. Harrington," the doctor touched his arm, "your daughter appears to be profoundly deaf." James looked at his baby girl. She slept peacefully, unaware that the world had sounds she would never hear. "Fix it," he said. "So we don't know what's. I don't care what it costs. Fix it." 6 years passed. James Harrington tried everything. 18 medical teams examined Lily, 12 countries, $14 million. Every test showed the same impossible result. Her ears were perfect. Her brain was perfect. Nothing was wrong, but she couldn't hear. Doctors called it idiopathic, a fancy word meaning they had no idea. James sat in his study on a Tuesday evening. Another specialist's report lay open on his desk. Another failure, another dead end. He stared at a photograph of Grace. She smiled back at him, frozen in time. "Forever 31, I promised to protect her," he whispered, "and I can't even give her sound." The door opened behind him. "James," Richard Harrington walked in, tall, handsome, warm smile lines around his eyes. He crossed to his brother and placed a hand on his shoulder. "I saw the report," Richard said. "I'm sorry." James shook his head. "It doesn't make sense. None of it makes sense. We'll find the answer. We always do." James looked up at his brother, his only remaining family. "Thank you," James said. "I don't know what I'd do without you." Richard squeezed his shoulder. "That's what brothers are for," he smiled. But if anyone had been watching closely, really watching, they might have seen something flicker behind his eyes, something cold, something patient. It vanished in an instant. No one saw it. 25 miles away, in a different universe called Bridgeport, Connecticut, a little girl walked home from school. Her name was Maya Thompson. She was 8 years old. She wore second-hand shoes and a coat 2 sizes too big. Her braids were neat and tight. Her grandmother did them every Sunday night. Maya didn't walk like other children. She watched everything, catalogued everything. Her eyes moved constantly. She noticed the crack in the sidewalk that hadn't been there yesterday. She noticed the missing hubcap on Mr. Patterson's car. She noticed that Mrs. Chen's curtains were closed on a sunny day. She noticed things no one else did. Her grandmother walked beside her. Mama D was 63 years old. She moved slower than she used to, but her hand was steady in Maya's. They passed a woman standing outside the laundromat. The woman was smiling, bright, cheerful, waving at someone across the street. Maya stopped walking. "Grandma," Mama D paused. "What is it, baby?" Maya didn't take her eyes off the woman. "That lady is about to cry." Mama D looked. The woman was still smiling. "She looks fine to me." Her smile is lying. 3 seconds later, the woman's face crumbled. She bent over. Sobs shook her shoulders. The brightness collapsed into grief. Mama D stared. Then she looked down at her granddaughter. "Maya," her voice was quiet, careful. "What do you see that the rest of us don't?" Maya watched the crying woman for a long moment. "Everything," she said. "I see everything. Before I tell you how these two worlds collide, you need to understand something. Maya Thompson had a gift." Some people would call it a curse. She saw what people hid. The micro-expressions, the tiny inconsistencies, the gap between what someone showed and what they felt. She couldn't turn it off. And in 13 days, that gift would lead her to a mansion she'd never heard of, a girl who couldn't hear her, and a photograph that would expose a monster hiding in plain sight. If you want to know how a poor black girl from Bridgeport saved a billionaire's deaf daughter, subscribe now. Comment where you're watching from. Because what Maya is about to discover will destroy everything you think you know about family, trust, and betrayal. Maya didn't know any of this yet. She just knew that some people's outsides didn't match their insides. She'd known this her whole life. She also knew something else, something she'd never told anyone. She knew why her mother was in prison. She knew the truth, and she knew it was her fault. Maya Thompson was 8 years old when she saw her first monster, not in a nightmare, not in a movie, in the eyes of a man everyone else called a hero, but she didn't know that yet. She didn't know that in 13 days, she would walk into a mansion she'd never seen. She would meet a girl who couldn't hear her voice, and she would change everything, all because she noticed something in a photograph, something that 18 medical teams missed, something that $14 million couldn't find, something that had been hidden in plain sight for 6 years. Maya Thompson was about to see the unseeable, and nothing would ever be the same. Maya Thompson woke at 5:47 a.m., the same time every morning. Her grandmother's apartment had 3 rooms. The kitchen smelled like coffee and something burning. Mama D always burned the toast. Maya didn't mind. Routine was safety. Sameness was survival. She dressed in the order she always dressed. Socks first, then pants, then shirt, then shoes, never different, never wrong. The apartment was small but spotless. Everything had a place. Maya needed that. When things moved, her brain noticed. When her brain noticed too much, it got loud. Breakfast, baby. Mama D set a plate on the table. Eggs, toast, orange juice. Maya ate in 12 bites. She counted everyone. School was harder. Maya sat alone at lunch. The corner table, the one with the wobbly leg that nobody else wanted. Other kids whispered when she walked past. That's the weird girl. She stares at people. My mom says she's not right in the head. Maya heard them. She always heard them. She just didn't respond. A teacher approached her table. Mrs. Henley, tired eyes, fake smile, coffee breath. Maya, we're doing group projects this week. You need a partner. Maya said nothing. Mrs. Henley scanned the cafeteria. Her eyes landed on a boy sitting 2 tables away. His shoulders were hunched. His jaw was tight. Darnell, you'll work with Maya. Darnell's face twisted. He grabbed his tray and walked over, dropped into the seat across from her. Whatever, he muttered. Let's just get this over with. Maya studied him. His sneakers were new, too new. The price tag was still on the bottom. His shirt was wrinkled like he'd slept in it. And on his wrist, your dad isn't on a business trip, Maya said. Darnell froze. He left. That's why you're angry all the time now. Darnell's eyes went wide, then wet. You're wearing his watch. Too tight because that's how he wore it. You keep touching it like it might disappear. Darnell stood up so fast his chair fell over. Shut up, his voice cracked. You don't know anything. He ran out the cafeteria door. Gone. Mrs. Henley stared at Maya. Her fake smile was gone now. Principal's office. Now, Mama D arrived 40 minutes later. The principal's door was thick. Maya could still hear them through it. Your granddaughter upset another student, made him cry in front of everyone. What did she say? She told him his father left the family. Apparently it happened last week. Nobody at school knew. Silence. How did she know that? More silence. That's what concerns us, Mrs. Thompson. Walking home, Mama D held Maya's hand tight. The autumn air was crisp, leaves scattered across broken sidewalks. Tell me what you saw, baby. Maya didn't hesitate. His watch was too tight. He didn't adjust it because that's how his dad wore it. Loose would mean admitting he's gone. Mama D stopped walking. What else? His shirt was wrinkled, but his shoes were new. His mom bought them to make him feel better. But she didn't iron his shirt because she's too tired or too sad, probably both. Mama D knelt down on the sidewalk. Her knees cracked. Her eyes were wet. Maya, you have a gift, but gifts can feel like curses if the world isn't ready for them. Maya looked at her grandmother. Her small face was serious. Is that why Mama's in prison? Because I didn't see enough. Mama D's whole body went still. That wasn't your fault. That was never your fault. But Maya knew better. She remembered 2 years ago she was 6, hiding under the bed in her mother's apartment. The floor was dusty. The carpet smelled like cigarettes. Her mother's boyfriend was in the room. Marcus. Big hands, mean eyes, smile like a mask. Maya watched his feet move across the floor. He opened the closet, pulled out a duffel bag, shoved something inside. Maya saw it, just a flash, a jewelry box, diamonds catching light. She knew it was stolen, she could feel it in her bones, but she was 6 and she was scared. Marcus looked under the bed, their eyes met. You didn't see anything? His voice was ice. Right, Maya shook her head. She said nothing. 2 days later, police came. They found the jewelry in her mother's car. Marcus had put it there. Her mother was arrested, convicted, sentenced to 8 years for a crime she didn't commit. And Maya had seen the evidence. Maya could have saved her, but she was 6 years old and terrified, and she said nothing. Maya has carried this secret for 2 years. She was 6 years old, terrified, hiding under a bed. She saw the evidence that could have saved her mother, and said nothing. Comment below, at 6 years old, could you have done differently? Here's what makes this even more heartbreaking. Maya's gift, the same gift that failed her mother, is about to save someone else's daughter, someone she's never even met. 25 miles away, a different morning unfolded. The Harrington estate sat on 40 acres in Greenwich. White columns, manicured gardens, a house that cost more than most people earn in a lifetime. Inside, James Harrington was failing. Lily sat at the breakfast table. She was 6 years old, blonde hair like her mother's, blue eyes like the sky after rain, and she was furious. James held up his hands. He moved them slowly, clumsily. He was trying to sign, "What do you want to eat?" But his fingers were wrong. His timing was off. Lily's face darkened. Her small hands balled into fists. She grabbed her plate of eggs and threw it across the room. The ceramic shattered against the wall. Yellow splattered everywhere. James stood frozen, helpless. The door opened. A woman entered. Evelyn, the nanny, 4 years with the family now. She was calm, steady. Her hands moved with fluid grace. She signed to Lily. "I know you're frustrated. Can you show me what's wrong?" Lily's shoulders dropped. The rage left her body. She signed back. "Daddy doesn't understand. He never understands." Evelyn turned to James. "She wants pancakes, not eggs." James nodded. He looked at his daughter, then at the floor. "Thank you, Evelyn. I don't know what I'd do without you." Evelyn's face stayed professional, but her eyes lingered on James as he walked out. She watched him longer than necessary. Then she knelt and began cleaning up the broken plate. She picked up his coffee cup, still warm. She held it for a moment, just held it. Richard Harrington arrived at noon. He pulled up in a silver Mercedes, designer suit, perfect hair, smile that could sell anything. He carried 2 gift bags, one for James, one for Lily. "Where's my favorite niece?" Richard called out. Lily came running. She leaped into his arms. Richard set her down and began signing. His hands moved faster than James's, more natural, more fluent. "I brought you something," he signed. Lily's eyes went wide. She tore open the bag, a stuffed elephant, purple, her favorite color. She hugged it tight. James watched from the doorway. His brother was better at this than him, better at making Lily happy, better at everything. "The specialist in Boston," Richard said, turning to James. "I pulled some strings. He'll see Lily next month." James shook his head. "Another specialist. Another disappointment. Don't give up, we'll find the answer." James looked at his brother, this man who had stood beside him through everything, Grace's death, Lily's silence, 6 years of failure. "I don't know what I'd do without you, Richard." Richard put a hand on his shoulder. "That's what brothers are for," he smiled. But if anyone had been watching, really watching, they might have seen something behind his eyes. A flicker, cold, patient, gone in an instant. That afternoon, James stood before his foundation board. "We are launching the Day of Dreams program. Children from underprivileged schools will visit the estate." A board member leaned forward. "Which schools?" "Start with Bridgeport. Those kids need to see that dreams are possible." He signed the paperwork, just like that. He had no idea what he'd just done. No idea that one of those children would walk through his gates and see something that would burn his world to the ground. 3 days later, James's motorcade drove through Bridgeport. A factory tour, cameras, photo ops. Maya was walking to school. She saw the black SUVs, tinted windows, police escort. Something made her stop. The cars rolled past slowly. In the back seat of the middle car, a small face pressed against the glass. Blonde hair, blue eyes, a girl about her age. Their eyes almost met. Almost. The glass was too dark. The car was too fast. Maya watched the motorcade disappear around the corner. Grandma. Mama D looked down. What is it, baby? Someone in that car is trapped. Mama D shook her head. Rich people problems, not ours. She pulled Maya along, but Maya kept looking back. 5 days after that, Mama D took Maya to a free health clinic in Stamford. Routine checkup. Maya hated doctors. The clinic was next to another building. A private pediatric center, fancy entrance, valet parking. Maya sat on a bench outside, waiting. A car pulled up to the other building. A nanny stepped out, then a little girl, blonde hair, blue eyes, the same girl from the motorcade. Maya watched her. The girl tilted her head in a strange way, like she was trying to catch something that wasn't there, like she was listening for sounds that wouldn't come. The nanny guided her inside. Maya filed it away, every detail, the head tilt, the searching expression, the silence around her. She didn't know why it mattered, but she knew it did. 1 week later. Mrs. Henley stood at the front of the classroom. I have exciting news. Our school has been selected for the Harrington Foundation's Day of Dreams program. The other kids cheered. Maya stayed quiet. That night she sat at Mama D's old laptop. She typed, Harrington, articles loaded, photographs, headlines, Billionaire's deaf daughter, a father's endless search. Maya clicked the image. Lily Harrington, age 6, blonde hair, blue eyes, the girl from the parking lot. Maya stared at the photograph for a long time. Something nagged at her, something in the picture. She couldn't name it yet, but her gift was humming, buzzing, telling her to look closer. Grandma, she called out, I need to go on this trip. Mama D appeared in the doorway. Since when do you want to go anywhere? Maya didn't look away from the screen. Something's wrong with this girl, something everyone missed. Mama D walked closer, looked at the picture. You can tell that from a photograph. Maya nodded slowly. I can tell that from everything. The bus to Greenwich left at 7 a.m. on a Tuesday morning. Maya pressed her face to the window the entire way. She watched broken sidewalks turn to manicured lawns. Chain-link fences became wrought iron gates. The world she knew disappeared behind her. She didn't know she was about to meet the girl from the parking lot. She didn't know that in less than 3 hours, she would see something in a photograph that would set fire to a secret buried for 6 years. All she knew, as the bus pulled through the golden gates of the Harrington estate, was that something was waiting for her there, something that needed to be seen. The Harrington estate looked like something from a movie Maya had never been allowed to watch. Golden gates, stone pillars, a driveway that seemed to stretch forever. Bus rolled through and 32 children pressed their faces to the windows. They gasped, they pointed, they whispered about fairy tales and princes. Maya sat in the back row. She didn't gasp. She counted security cameras, 14 visible from the driveway alone. She watched the staff lined up near the entrance, matching uniforms, matching smiles. One woman stood near the rose garden. Her smile was wide, her eyes were tired, her shoulders were tight. She hates her job, Maya whispered to herself. The children poured off the bus like water from a broken pipe. Teachers tried to organize them, failed, gave up. Activities covered the back lawn, face painting, balloon animals, a bouncy castle that looked like it cost more than Mama D's car. Other kids ran toward the food tables, the games, the noise. Maya walked the opposite direction. She moved past the main garden, past the hedge maze, past a greenhouse filled with flowers she couldn't name. She found the fountain in the back, and she found Lily. The girl sat alone on the fountain's edge. Blonde hair, blue eyes, purple dress. She was holding something, a photograph in a silver frame. She stared at it like it held answers to questions Maya couldn't hear. Maya approached slowly. She sat down on the fountain's edge, not too close, not too far. She said nothing. Lily looked up, surprised. Most people walked past her. Most people didn't know how to be near silence. Maya understood silence. Silence was her native language too. She pointed to herself, then to Lily. Then she linked her fingers together. The meaning was clear, we're the same. Lily's expression shifted just slightly. The first crack in a wall she'd built for 6 years, she almost smiled. They sat together for a long time. Maya looked at the photograph in Lily's hands, a woman in a hospital bed, pale, exhausted, beautiful even in pain. In her arms, a newborn baby, hours old, eyes closed, tiny fingers curled. "Your mama?" Maya asked. Lily couldn't hear the question, but she saw Maya looking at the photo. She nodded. Maya studied the image. Her gift was humming now, that buzzing in her brain that meant something was wrong, something didn't fit. She looked at the baby's face, normal. She looked at the woman's face, sad, dying, but normal. She looked at the baby's ear, her head tilted, her eyes narrowed. She looked at Lily's ear now, the real ear, the one inches away from her, then back at the photograph. Something was different. Maya pointed at baby Lily's ear in the picture. Then she pointed at Lily's actual ear. Then she made a question mark with her hands. Lily frowned. She didn't understand, but Maya understood. In the photograph, the baby's ear was smooth, perfect, unblemished. In real life, there was something near Lily's ear canal, a shadow that shouldn't be there, a line too straight to be natural. 6 years of doctors had missed it. Maya saw it in 30 seconds. "Who's your new friend, sweetheart?" Voice came from behind them. Maya turned. A tall man in an expensive suit stood on the garden path. His face was kind, his eyes were exhausted. "James Harrington." Lily stood up and ran to her father. She hugged his legs. He signed something clumsy to her. She rolled her eyes but smiled. Then James looked at Maya. "Thank you for sitting with her. Most children don't know what to do around Lily." Maya stood. She looked James directly in the eyes. Adults usually looked away from Maya's gaze. Something about it made them uncomfortable. James didn't look away. "Something is different," Maya said. "I'm sorry." In her ear, between then and now. Maya pointed at the photograph still in Lily's hands. Something was added. James's smile became strained. The kind of smile people wear when they want to be polite but wish you would stop talking. "That's, babies change as they grow. Doctors have examined her for years. The best specialists in the world. Doctors weren't looking for what I'm seeing." James blinked. "And what exactly are you seeing?" "I don't know yet, but it's there." A woman appeared at James's side. Evelyn, the nanny from the parking lot. "Mr. Harrington, the children are gathering for the presentation." She looked at Maya, smiled, but her eyes were calculating. "I can take this young lady back to her group." James nodded. "That would be fine, thank you." Evelyn guided Maya away with a gentle hand on her shoulder. Maya looked back once. James was staring at the photograph. His face was troubled. A seed had been planted. That night Maya couldn't sleep. She sat at Mama D's kitchen table with a pencil and paper. She drew the photograph from memory, every detail. The hospital bed, the IV tubes, Grace's tired smile, and baby Lily's ear. Then she drew Lily's ear as it looked today. She circled the difference. The tiny shadow near the canal, the line that was too uniform. "Baby, it's past midnight." Mama D stood in the doorway, robe tied. Concern on her face. "Look," Maya held up both drawings. "This shadow, it's not a shadow, it's something." Mama D squinted at the papers. She shook her head. "I don't see anything, Maya. You're not supposed to, that's why no one found it." Mama D sat down across from her granddaughter. She looked tired, but she also looked scared. "What are you saying?" Maya met her eyes. "Someone put something in that girl's ear, and I need to go back." 2 days later, they returned to the estate. Mama D had called the Harrington Foundation, asked about follow-up programs. The Mentor Connection program allowed selected children to return for additional visits, building relationships, creating possibilities. Maya was selected. She suspected James had something to do with that. The visits became regular. Every 3 days, Maya came to the estate. Every 3 days, she sat with Lily. They communicated in their own language, gestures, drawings, expressions. Maya showed Lily her sketchbook. Detailed drawings of birds she'd seen, buildings she'd passed, faces she couldn't forget. Lily showed Maya her world, the vibrating alarm that woke her, the flashing lights that meant someone was at the door, the way she felt music through the floor when the bass was loud enough. A friendship formed, unlikely, unbreakable. Evelyn watched them from the windows. Maya watched Evelyn too, the way the nanny lingered near James's study, the way she touched his coffee cup after he left, the way she kept a book with his photo on her nightstand. Maya asked Lily one afternoon, "Does Evelyn love your daddy?" Lily frowned. She didn't understand the question, but Maya understood. Evelyn was hiding something. She filed it away. On the fourth visit, Maya asked permission. "Can I look at your ear?" Lily hesitated, then nodded. She trusted Maya now, completely. Maya used the flashlight on Mama D's old phone. She tilted Lily's head gently, looked into the ear canal. And there it was, a tiny ridge of tissue, too uniform to be a scar, too symmetrical to be natural. Scars were random, chaotic, organic. This had design, purpose. Someone had put something in Lily's ear, and someone had hidden it well. Maya found James in his study. "Sir, there's something in her ear, it's not natural." James set down his papers. His face was tired, but something else was there now. Hope, fear, both. "Maya, I appreciate your concern. But do you understand how many specialists have examined my daughter? How much money I've spent? Specialists look for what they expect. I see what doesn't belong." She placed her drawings on his desk. The photograph versus now, the circled anomaly. Then she placed a new drawing, a close-up of what she'd seen with the flashlight. "This ridge, it's not a scar. Scars are messy. This is too perfect, too even." James stared at the drawings, then he stood, walked to Lily's room. Knelt beside her, he looked at her ear, really looked, for the first time in 6 years. His face went pale. That's probably just. But he couldn't finish the sentence, because he saw it too. "James, what's going on?" Richard Harrington stood in the doorway, silver suit, perfect hair, smile ready. James straightened up. "A girl from the program, she thinks she's found something in Lily's ear." Richard's eyebrows rose. He walked over, looked at the drawings on James's desk. Then he laughed. Warm, dismissive, comforting. "Children have vivid imaginations. Remember when we thought the attic was haunted? This is different." "Is it?" Richard put a hand on James's shoulder. "Brother, you've spent 6 years searching for answers. Of course you want to believe there's something simple, something fixable, but you need to accept. I saw it, the ridge, it's there." Richard's smile flickered, just for a moment. Maya saw it. Richard knelt down to Maya's level. His eyes were warm, his voice was gentle. "You're very sweet to care about Lily, but the best doctors in the world have looked at her. If something was there, they would have found it." Maya didn't blink. "Sometimes people don't find things because they're not supposed to find them." Something crossed Richard's face. Fast, cold, then it was gone, but Maya had seen it. That flash of something wrong, something calculating, something that didn't match the warm uncle routine. She filed it away. "He's scared of what I'm saying." Maya is 8 years old. She has nothing, no money, no power, no credentials. But she just looked into Richard Harrington's eyes and saw something that made her blood go cold. And Richard saw her see it. "Comment your theory right now. Who do you think did this to Lily? The nanny who watches too closely? The doctor who never found the answer? Or someone Maya hasn't suspected yet?" Subscribe if you haven't. Because in the next few minutes, everything Maya thinks she knows is about to be destroyed. Richard stood up smoothly. "James, don't let this consume you again. You've been doing so well. Lily is happy. She's thriving in her own way." He glanced at Maya. The smile was back, but his eyes were different now. "Perhaps it's time for this young lady to return to her group." James nodded slowly. "Maybe you're right." Maya walked toward the door. She paused. "Mr. Harrington, get a different doctor, one who doesn't know what they're supposed to find." Then she left. Richard watched her go. His jaw was tight. James stared at the drawings on his desk. The crack in the wall had become a hole. Mama D picked Maya up at 5 o'clock. They drove back to Bridgeport in silence. Maya stared out the window. Her mind was racing. "You found something?" Mama D said, not a question. "Someone did this to her on purpose." "Did what?" "I don't know yet, but the uncle, Richard, he's wrong." Mama D's hands tightened on the steering wheel. "Wrong how?" "His eyes don't match his smile. His timing is off. When I told him what I saw, he got scared. But he shouldn't be scared unless he has something to hide." Maya nodded. They pulled into the parking lot of their apartment building. The streetlight above their spot was broken again. "Maya, this is a rich family, powerful. If someone there did something bad, I know, you could get hurt. We could both get hurt." Maya looked at her grandmother. Her small face was serious. "Lily can't hear, Grandma. Someone stole her ears." And everyone else just accepted it. Mama D was quiet for a long moment. "Then we need to be careful, very careful." That night Maya couldn't sleep. She kept replaying the moment. Richard kneeling down, his smile fixed like a mask, his eyes empty like a doll's, and then, just before he stood, A flash of something cold, something calculating, something that said, "You shouldn't have seen that." At 2 a.m. her phone buzzed. Maya sat up, grabbed Mama D's old flip phone from the nightstand. A text from an unknown number, 4 words. "Stop asking questions, Maya." She stared at the screen, her heart pounded in her chest. Someone knew her name, someone was watching, and someone was very, very afraid of what she was about to find. Maya didn't sleep that night. She sat on her bed, staring at the flip phone. The message glowed in the darkness. "Stop asking questions, Maya." 4 words, no name, no explanation. Someone knew who she was, someone was watching. At 6 a.m., Mama D found her still sitting there, still staring. "Baby, what's wrong?" Maya handed her the phone. Mama D read the message. Her face went hard. The soft grandmother disappeared. Something older took her place. Something that had survived things Maya didn't know about. "We need to stop this," Mama D said. "It's not safe. Someone hurt that little girl on purpose, and no one believes it except me." Believing it and proving it are different things. Maya looked up at her grandmother. "Then help me prove it." Mama D sat down on the bed. The springs creaked. For a long moment she said nothing. "If I help you," she finally said, "you do exactly what I say. The moment it gets dangerous, we stop." Maya nodded. They both knew she was lying. Mama D had a cousin named Delia who worked at the county records office in Hartford. "She owes me," Mama D said as they drove. "I paid her rent for 3 months when she lost her job." The records office was grey and tired. Fluorescent lights hummed overhead. Delia was a large woman with kind eyes and suspicious hands that kept checking her watch. "Birth records for Lily Harrington," Mama D said. "Everything you can find." Delia hesitated. "Dee, this is the Harrington family. If someone finds out I pulled these." "No one will find out." Delia looked at Maya, then back at Mama D. 10 minutes. That's all I can give you." She disappeared into the back. Maya counted the ceiling tiles. 47, one was cracked. Delia returned with a thin folder. "There's not much. Private home birth, no hospital involved." Maya frowned. "Why would a billionaire's wife give birth at home?" Mama D shrugged. "Rich people do strange things." Or someone wanted no witnesses. The folder contained the birth certificate, a list of medical personnel present, and insurance documents. 5 people in the room that night: a nurse, an anesthesiologist, a midwife, a pediatric specialist, and the lead physician, Dr. Ellison Pierce. Maya stared at the name. "Who is he?" Delia typed on her computer. Her face changed as she read. "Dr. Ellison Pierce, graduated Johns Hopkins, used to be chief of obstetrics at Yale New Haven. Then he declared bankruptcy about 7 years ago. Now he's semi-retired in Vermont. Why would Richard Harrington choose a bankrupt doctor for his brother's baby?" Mama D and Delia exchanged a look. "You think the uncle chose the doctor?" Delia asked. "I think someone chose a desperate man for a reason." 3 days later, Maya returned to the estate. The Mentor Connection program, every 3 days. Building relationships, creating possibilities, that's what the brochure said. Maya had a different plan. Lily was in the music room when Maya arrived. She couldn't hear the piano, but she liked to feel the vibrations through the floor. Today she was just sitting there, waiting. Her face lit up when Maya walked in. They hugged. No words needed, 2 girls who understood silence. Maya signed, "Need to look around." Lily tilted her head. "Why?" Looking for answers. Lily nodded slowly. She trusted Maya completely now. That trust felt heavy in Maya's chest. "EVLYN is in the garden," Lily signed. "Daddy is at work. House is empty." Maya squeezed her hand. Then she went exploring. The estate had 43 rooms. Maya had counted during her previous visits. She'd mapped the layout in her head. The kitchen, the dining room, James's study, Lily's room, the guest quarters. Evelyn's room was on the 2nd floor, east wing, door usually locked. Today it was open, just a crack. Maya pushed it wider. The room was neat, almost too neat, everything in its place. Like Maya's own need for order, but colder. She opened drawers carefully, clothes, books, normal things. Then she found the bottom drawer of the nightstand. It was stuck. She pulled harder. Inside, photographs, dozens of them, James at breakfast, James in his office, James reading to Lily, James sleeping in a chair. Maya's blood went cold. She hadn't been wrong about Evelyn watching James, but she'd underestimated how much. This wasn't casual interest. This was obsession. Maya gathered the photographs. Her hands were shaking. She had to tell someone. James was home by the time Maya came downstairs. He was in his study, reviewing documents. He looked up when she entered. "Maya, how was your visit with Lily?" "I found something." She placed the photographs on his desk. James looked at them. His face went through several expressions: confusion, recognition, horror. "Where did you find these?" "Evelyn's room, the bottom drawer." James stood so fast his chair fell backward. "Get Evelyn now." The confrontation happened in the library. Evelyn stood near the fireplace. Her face was pale. Her hands were clasped in front of her. James stood across from her, the photographs spread on a table between them. Maya watched from the doorway. She needed to see Evelyn's eyes. "Explain these," James said. His voice was controlled, barely. Evelyn looked at the photographs, her eyes filled with tears. "I love you," the words hung in the air. "I've loved you since the day I started here. I know it's wrong. I know you're still mourning Grace, but I've never done anything. I would never hurt you or Lily." James's jaw tightened. "Did you do something to my daughter?" "No," the word exploded out of her, raw, desperate. "I've spent 4 years protecting her. I noticed the ear too, James. I've been taking her to specialists behind your back because I was afraid to tell you. I suspected something was wrong 2 years ago." James froze. "What?" Evelyn's tears were falling freely now. She crossed to a cabinet, pulled out a folder. "Records, appointments, scans, second opinions. I've been quietly investigating because I knew something wasn't right, but I had no proof, and I thought you'd fire me for going behind your back." Maya studied Evelyn's face, the wet eyes when she talked about Lily, the anger when she talked about the ear. Guilt looked different. Guilt looked like Richard's empty smile. This was something else. This was fear. This was love twisted by silence. "She's not the one," Maya said. James turned. "How do you know?" Her eyes. "When she talks about Lily, they're wet. When she talks about the ear, they're angry. She's not guilty, she's scared." James looked at Evelyn for a long moment, then he picked up his phone. "I'm calling my lawyers, we're bringing in a detective." Detective Vance arrived within the hour. She was tall, sharp, her eyes missed nothing. Maya recognized something in those eyes, a gift similar to her own, the ability to see what others missed. Vance reviewed Evelyn's records, made phone calls, checked alibis. After 2 hours, she delivered her verdict. Evelyn was in Ohio the night of Lily's birth. Her father's funeral, photographic evidence, flight records, over 30 witnesses. She's clear. Evelyn sagged with relief, but James wasn't relieved. His face was haunted. "If not Evelyn, who?" Vance looked at Maya. "The girl found the photographs. She found the anomaly in Lily's ear. What else has she noticed?" Everyone turned to Maya. She thought about Richard, his smile that didn't reach his eyes. The cold flash when she mentioned the ear, his perfectly still hands, but she wasn't ready to say that yet. She needed proof. "I think we should look at the ear again," Maya said, "with someone who knows what to look for." The specialist arrived the next morning. Dr. Catherine Wells, microsurgeon, expert in cochlear implants and inner ear abnormalities. She was small and precise. Her instruments were smaller. Lily was sedated lightly, just enough to keep her still. Maya waited outside the examination room. Mama D held her hand. Richard was there too. He'd arrived an hour earlier, full of concern and support. "Whatever this examination finds," Richard said to James, "we'll handle it together. That's what family does." Maya watched Richard's face as he spoke. Perfect concern, perfect warmth. But his hands rested easily at his sides. Relaxed, casual. A man worried about his niece should fidget, should pace, should check his watch. Richard did none of those things. Reddy knew what the doctor would find. After an hour, Dr. Wells emerged. Her face was pale, her hands were trembling. "Mr. Harrington," she said, "I need to speak with you privately. Anything you say, you can say in front of my brother." Richard nodded gravely. "We are family, no secrets." Dr. Wells hesitated, then she spoke. "There's something in your daughter's ear canal, a device." James stopped breathing. "What kind of device?" "It appears to be a micro-acoustic dampener, custom-made. Surgical grade. It's been blocking approximately 98% of sound transmission to her eardrum." The room went silent. James's voice was barely audible. "Someone put that there. This wasn't natural, Mr. Harrington. This wasn't an accident. Someone did this to your daughter intentionally. hours after her birth based on the tissue growth around the device. Maya watched Richard. His face showed shock, horror, outrage. Who would do something like this? Richard demanded. We need to find them and destroy them, but Maya saw it. The shock came a half-second too late, manufactured rather than genuine, and his hands still weren't shaking. She knew, she was certain now, but knowing and proving were different things. Detective Vance tracked Dr. Pierce to a modest house in Vermont. It was far below his means. A man who once ran a department at Yale New Haven, living in a two-bedroom cottage with peeling paint. James insisted on going. Vance tried to stop him. This could be a crime scene investigation, Mr. Harrington. That man did something to my daughter. I'm going. Maya insisted on going too. Mama D tried to stop her. This isn't your fight anymore, baby. You found the truth. Let the adults handle the rest. I need to see his eyes when he admits it. Mama D looked at her granddaughter for a long moment, then she nodded. I'm coming too. Dr. Pierce was 73 years old. His hair was white. His hands were spotted. He looked like someone's grandfather. He looked like someone who'd never hurt anyone. Maya knew better than to trust looks. Vance knocked on the door. Pierce answered. His face went gray when he saw James. Mr. Harrington, I wasn't expecting. We need to talk, James said. About my daughter. Pierce tried to close the door. Vance's foot stopped it. We can do this here, Vance said, or at the station, your choice. Pierce's shoulders slumped. He stepped aside. The living room was small and sad. Pierce sat in a worn armchair. His hands were shaking now, the hands of a guilty man. The device in my daughter's ear, James said. You implanted it. I don't know what you're talking about. It was put there hours after her birth. You were the physician in charge. No one else had access. I don't. James leaned forward. His voice was ice. I will destroy you. I will take every cent you have, which isn't much. I will make sure you die in prison. And I will personally ensure that every day of your remaining life is filled with regret. Pierce started crying, not quiet tears, sobs, the kind that shook his whole body. I didn't want to, he gasped. I needed the money. I was drowning in debt. My wife was sick. The treatments cost everything. Who paid you? Pierce shook his head. I can't. He'll destroy me. I'll destroy you worse. Maya stepped forward. She knelt in front of Pierce. An 8-year-old girl looking into the eyes of an old man who'd stolen a child's hearing. Dr. Pierce, Lily can't hear birds. She can't hear music. She can't hear her father say he loves her. For 6 years, she's been trapped in silence. And you put her there. Pierce looked at Maya. Something broke in his face. He said it would just delay her development. Give him time. He said she'd be fine eventually, that it was reversible. James's voice cracked. Who? Pierce looked at James with something like pity. Your brother, Richard, he paid me $2 million. His own brother, James's only family, the man who held him at Grace's funeral, the man who signed Christmas cards to Lily with all my love, the man who arranged specialists and pulled strings and offered comfort for 6 years. Comment honestly, if this was your brother, the person who was supposed to protect you, could you ever forgive him? Could you stop yourself from doing something you'd regret? Because what happens next? I'm still not sure James made the right choice. Subscribe now, you need to see how this ends. James staggered backward. No, he wouldn't. I have records, Pierce said. I kept everything. Insurance in case he turned on me, times, dates, amounts, wire transfers from an account in his name. Why? James's voice was barely human. Why would he do this? Pierce wiped his eyes. The family trust. He explained it to me. If your heir is deemed incapable of managing the business, control transfers to the next in line. He wanted the company. He wanted everything. James sat down heavily. His face was gray. 6 years. 6 years of watching his daughter struggle. 6 years of blaming himself. 6 years of thinking he was cursed. And Richard was right there, helping, comforting, playing the devoted brother, while Lily sat in silence. They drove back to Greenwich. Vance made calls. Lawyers were contacted. Arrest warrants were prepared. Maya sat in the back seat with Mama D. Her mind was racing. Something was still missing. A piece that hadn't fallen into place. Grace's warning, the dying words James had never understood. Protect her. Something's wrong with Richard. Grace had known. Before any of this happened, she had known. But how? They arrived at the estate as the sun was setting. James went to his study. He needed time alone, he said, time to process. Maya wandered the halls. She found herself in front of Grace's room, the door that was always locked. Today it was open. Someone had been inside. The bed was disturbed. Drawers were pulled out. Richard, looking for something. Maya stepped inside. The room smelled like dust and old perfume. Grace's presence lingered in everything. The photographs on the dresser, the books on the shelf, the jewelry box that hadn't been opened in 6 years. Maya's eyes moved across the floor. Something was wrong. One floorboard was different. Slightly newer, a different shade than the others. She knelt down, pressed on it. It moved. Underneath, a leather journal, Grace's handwriting on the first page. Maya began to read. August 3rd, Richard came to dinner again. He was charming as always, but when James left the room, his face changed just for a moment. He looked at my belly and I saw something I can't explain, something cold. August 10th, I told James I don't trust Richard. He laughed, said I was hormonal. But I'm not imagining this. Richard watches me like he's waiting for something. August 15th, Richard insisted on arranging the home birth team, said it was his gift to us. James was so touched, but I looked up the doctor he recommended, Ellison Pierce. He declared bankruptcy last year. Why would Richard choose a desperate man? August 16th, I'm scared. I don't know why. I'm going to tell James everything tomorrow after the baby comes. He has to believe me. Something is wrong with his brother. August 17th was blank. Grace never wrote again. She died giving birth. Never got to warn James. Maya held the journal with shaking hands. Grace knew. She saw what everyone else missed, just like Maya. Maya found James in his study. She placed the journal on his desk. Your wife knew. She tried to warn you. James looked at the journal, at Grace's handwriting on the cover. He opened it. Read. His face crumbled with each page. When he finished, he sat in silence for a long time. She told me something was wrong with Richard, he finally said. The day she died, I thought she was delirious. I didn't listen. You couldn't have known. I should have. She saw him just like you did. James stood. His movements were slow, deliberate. Richard is here. He arrived an hour ago. He's in the library waiting to support me through this difficult time. Maya felt a chill. What are you going to do? James didn't answer. He picked up Grace's journal. He walked to the door, then he stopped. Maya, whatever happens next, thank you for seeing what I couldn't. He left. Maya watched him go. Then she ran to find Detective Vance. James drove around the estate once before parking. In his hand, Grace's journal. In his mind, her voice. The words she'd tried to tell him 6 years ago that he'd dismissed as hormones. I don't trust Richard. He'd laughed at her. And while he was laughing, Richard was paying a doctor to steal their daughter's hearing. James pulled into the driveway. Richard's silver Mercedes was parked near the entrance. He was inside, probably pouring a drink, probably preparing another performance of brotherly love. James sat in his car for a long moment. Then he reached into the glove compartment. His hand closed around something cold and heavy. He didn't know if he was going to confront his brother or kill him. He wasn't sure there was a difference anymore. James walked into his study. Richard was already there, whiskey in hand, smile ready. James, you look terrible. What happened with Pierce? James said nothing. He placed Grace's journal on the desk between them. Richard's smile faltered just slightly. What's that? Grace's journal. She knew Richard. She tried to warn me. Richard picked up the journal, flipped through pages. His face showed concern. James, I don't understand. What are you saying? Stop. James's voice was different now. Quiet, deadly. I spent 6 years watching my daughter suffer, 6 years blaming myself, 6 years thinking I was cursed, and you were right there, helping me, comforting me, telling me we'd find the answer. Richard set down the journal. Whatever Pierce told you, he had records, times, dates, amounts, $2 million. Richard, that's what my daughter's hearing was worth to you. The room went silent. Richard's face changed. The mask didn't crack. It shattered, but what came out wasn't tears, wasn't begging, it was rage. You want to know why? Richard's voice rose. You really want to know? Yes, because you took everything. Richard slammed his glass on the desk. Whiskey splashed across the wood. From the day you were born, you took everything. Dad loved you more. Mom trusted you more. The company, our family's company. You got it all. James stared at the stranger wearing his brother's face. I worked just as hard, Richard continued. I'm just as smart, but I was always Richard James's brother, never just Richard, never good enough on my own. So you hurt a baby, James's voice cracked. My baby. I leveled the playing field. The trust says if your heir is incapable, she's 6 years old. She was supposed to be fine, Richard was screaming now. It was just supposed to delay things, give me time to position myself, but the doctors couldn't figure it out. And then I couldn't undo it without exposing, get out. Richard froze. James, get out of my house, get out of my company, get out of my family. Richard's face hardened. The rage turned to calculation. You can't prove any of this. Pierce is unreliable, a bankrupt man with a grudge. The journal is circumstantial. I have lawyers who will bury this so deep. The study door opened. Detective Vance stepped inside, 2 officers behind her, and behind them Maya, and behind Maya Lily. Lily's eyes moved between the adults. She couldn't hear the words, but she could read lips. She'd been reading lips her entire life. She'd understood every word her uncle said. She signed to Maya. Her small hands were trembling. He hurt me. Uncle Richard hurt me. Maya nodded. Lily looked at Richard. Her face held an expression no 6-year-old should wear, betrayal, understanding, and something that looked terrifyingly like pity. She signed one word to him. Why? Richard had no answer. For the first time in his life, Richard Harrington had nothing to say. Richard Harrington, Detective Vance said, you're under arrest for aggravated assault on a minor, conspiracy and reckless endangerment. You have the right to remain silent. The officers moved forward. Handcuffs clicked around Richard's wrists. He didn't struggle, didn't speak. He just looked back at James once. And in that look was something almost like relief. 20 years of pretending to love his brother. Finally over. 1 week later, the device had been removed, 3 hours of microsurgery. Dr. Wells called it the most precise work she'd ever done. Lily's hearing system was undamaged, just suppressed. 6 years of silence caused by a piece of metal smaller than a grain of rice. It may take time, the surgeon warned. Her brain has never processed sound. She'll need therapy, training, patience. James nodded. He would give her whatever she needed. He sat with Lily in the recovery room. The walls were pale blue, machines beeped softly. Outside the window, Maya and Mama D waited. Maya's face was pressed to the glass. The audiologist entered. She carried a small device. This is temporary, she explained, a hearing aid to help her brain adjust. The surgery restored her natural hearing, but we need to introduce sound gradually. She placed the device gently in Lily's ear, adjusted the settings. Lily's eyes suddenly widened. She gasped, an actual gasp. The first sound she'd ever made in response to another sound, the air conditioner. She was hearing the air conditioner. Her head whipped around, the rustle of sheets, the beep of monitors, the hum of lights. The world was full of noise. Lily looked at her father with wonder and terror. James spoke. His voice was barely above a whisper. It broke on every word. Lily, can you hear me? Her face crumpled, not sad tears, overwhelmed tears. 6 years of silence shattered by 2 words. She opened her mouth. She'd never heard her own voice before. The sound that came out was strange, unpracticed, rough from years of not knowing how to shape it, but the word was clear. Dad, James shattered. He pulled her into his arms, held her so tight she could feel his heartbeat. She could hear his heartbeat. I'm here, he whispered into her hair. I'm right here and I'm never letting anything hurt you again. Through the window, Maya watched. Tears streamed down her face. Mama D held her hand, squeezed it tight. You did that, baby. You gave her a voice. Maya shook her head. I just saw what was there. She always had a voice. Someone just stole it. And you got it back. Maya pressed her palm to the glass. On the other side, Lily looked up, saw her friend, smiled through her tears. She signed with one hand, the other still wrapped around her father. Thank you, Maya signed back. Always. That night Maya couldn't sleep. She sat in Mama D's kitchen, the same kitchen where this all started. Broken streetlight outside still flickered. Something's bothering you, Mama D said. She set down 2 cups of tea. Maya stared at her hands. I helped Lily. I saw what was wrong with her and I fixed it. You did, but I couldn't help Mama. Mama D went still. I was 6 years old, Maya said. The words came out slowly like they'd been trapped for years. I was hiding under the bed. Marcus came in. He put something in the closet, jewelry. I saw him. Mama D's breath caught. The police came the next day. They found the jewelry in Mama's car. She said she didn't know how it got there, but I knew, and I didn't say anything. Maya's voice cracked. I was scared, I was so scared of Marcus, and now Mama's in prison because I was a coward. Mama D crossed the kitchen, pulled Maya into her arms. You were 6, you were a baby protecting yourself. That's not cowardice, that's survival. But if I'd said something, then Marcus might have hurt you. Might have hurt your mama worse. You did what any child would do. You hid. You stayed safe. That's what children are supposed to do. Maya cried, really cried. For the first time in 2 years, she let it all out. Can we help her now? She asked through the tears. Now that people believe me, can we help Mama? Mama D held her tighter. Detective Vance is already looking into it. She believes you now, baby. They all do. 6 months later, Marcus was arrested in Delaware. Same crime, different victim. But this time he left fingerprints. Detective Vance connected the cases. The jewelry from Maya's mother's arrest. Marcus's prints matched. The conviction was overturned. Maya's mother walked out of Greenville Correctional Facility on a Tuesday morning. It was Maya's 9th birthday. She stood in the parking lot with Mama D, with James and Lily, with Evelyn. The doors opened. Denise Thompson stepped into the sunlight, thinner than Maya remembered, older. Her eyes were the same. She saw her daughter. She ran, Maya ran too. They collided in the middle of the parking lot. 2 years of separation ended in a single moment. My baby, Denise whispered. My sweet, brilliant baby. I'm sorry, Mama, I'm sorry I didn't say. No, Denise pulled back, held Maya's face in her hands. You listened to me, you were a child, you were my child, and you just saved me. You saved yourself, you saved that little girl. She looked over at Lily. At this stranger's daughter, who'd become part of Maya's story. You are the bravest person I know, Maya Thompson, and I'm going to spend the rest of my life making sure you know that. Lily heard her father's voice for the first time at 6 years old. Maya's mother walked out of prison on her 9th birthday. 2 families destroyed and rebuilt because one little girl refused to stop seeing what no one else would look at. If this story moved you, if you felt something, subscribe to this channel right now, share this with someone who needs to hear it, and comment below what's the most important thing someone ever saw in you that you couldn't see in yourself. Because we all need someone to look deeper. We all need a Maya. Thank you for watching until the end. I'll see you in the next one, 1 year later. The Harrington estate was different now, warmer, louder. Lily ran through the garden, laughing, actually laughing, a sound no one had ever expected to hear. Her speech was still developing. Some words came out wrong, but she was learning fast. She wasn't angry anymore. Maya was there too. She visited every weekend now. Sometimes her mother came, sometimes just Mama D. The estate had become a second home. James had established a trust for Maya's education, full scholarship to any school she wanted. When she turned 18, there would be money waiting, enough to never worry. You don't have to do that, Mama D had said when he told her. I want to. Maya gave me back my daughter. I can never repay that, but I can try. Mama D and James had become unlikely friends. She was the only person who wasn't afraid to tell him he was wrong. He needed that. Evelyn stayed with the family, not as a nanny anymore, as a friend, a partner, part of the strange new family that had formed from tragedy. She never told James about her feelings. Over time, they faded into something healthier. Respect, trust, family by choice. Maya and Lily sat by the fountain, their spot where they'd first met. Lily could hear the water now. She'd told Maya it was her favorite sound, constant, peaceful, safe. She signed to Maya. She still used sign language even though she could hear. It was part of who she was, part of her history. She refused to lose it. Thank you for seeing me. Maya signed back. Thank you for letting me look. They held hands. 2 girls from opposite worlds who'd found each other. James approached them. He moved quietly, not wanting to interrupt. Maya looked up, saw him watching. Mr. Harrington, James, he corrected. I've told you, just James. He knelt down beside them, the way Richard once had, but there was nothing false in his eyes, nothing hidden. Maya, I spent 6 years looking at my daughter without seeing her. You walked into our lives and in one day you saw what armies of experts missed. 18 medical teams, 12 countries, $14 million. And an 8-year-old girl from Bridgeport figured it out in less than an hour. Maya considered his words. How? James asked. How did you see what no one else could? People look at what they expect to see, Maya said. They look for diseases because they expect diseases. They look for genetics because they expect genetics. I just look at what's there, what doesn't fit, what shouldn't be. James shook his head, still amazed, still grateful. What do you see when you look at me? He asked. Maya studied him, took her time, the way she always did. A man who loves his daughter more than anything, who blamed himself for something that wasn't his fault, who lost his wife trying to understand her warning. She paused. Who's finally learning to trust again? James's eyes filled with tears. And one more thing, Maya added. What? You're going to be okay, both of you. She looked at Lily, squeezed her hand. I can see it. Richard Harrington was convicted on all charges. Aggravated assault on a minor, conspiracy, reckless endangerment. He received 15 years in federal prison, no possibility of parole for 12. Dr. Ellison Pierce received 8 years. He lost his medical license. He testified against Richard in exchange for a reduced sentence. He cried on the stand. The device was donated to a medical research facility. Scientists studied it for months. They called it diabolically elegant. A perfect crime undone by a child who looked too closely. Grace Harrington was buried in the family cemetery. James visited every Sunday. He read to her from her journal, told her about Lily's progress, told her she was right, he should have listened. Lily Harrington heard her first thunderstorm at age 7. She cried for an hour, not from fear, from beauty. Play it again, she begged her father. I can't control thunder, sweetheart. Then play me something else. I have 6 years of music to catch up on. Her first favorite song was Lean on Me. She played it on repeat for a week, over and over until everyone in the house knew every word. When asked why that song, she thought for a moment. Because that's what Maya did, she said. She leaned on me, and I leaned on her, and together we stood up. Maya Thompson graduated top of her class from one of the most prestigious prep schools in Connecticut. She was the first person in her family to attend college. She chose Yale, close to home, close to Lily. She studied psychology. She wanted to understand the gift she'd once thought was a curse. She wanted to help other children who saw too much, felt too much, knew too much. She never stopped looking. The billionaire's daughter was born deaf until a poor black girl from Bridgeport pulled something unbelievable out of her ear. But that's not really the story. The story is about 2 girls who had nothing in common. Different worlds, different lives, different everything. Except for one thing, they were both alone. And then they found each other. Maya saw Lily, not the deaf girl, not the billionaire's daughter, not the tragedy, just Lily. And Lily saw Maya, not the weird girl, not the poor girl, not the gift, just Maya. They saw each other. And they refused to look away. That's what love sounds like, not words, not music, not thunder. Just someone finally, truly, completely seeing you and choosing to stay.